Wake up, everybody! Welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, David Rutherford. As a behavioral training specialist, motivational speaker, author, and life coach, my mission in life is to help you discover the behavioral truths behind what it takes for you to succeed in any environment imaginable. So stand by and let me help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. HOOYAH! All right. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Get off your butt, everybody. It's time to get fired up, to get motivated. It's time to take your Saturday and lift it to that whole nother level that you have been waiting for all week because you've been in the grind. You've been going through things at work. You've been going through things at home. Everything just seems to be piling on now that the fall's in gear. Now that you're back to work, the summer months are over. And you know what? And your PT's even getting tougher. It's getting harder. And you're just, you might even be just caught in this bog of life that just kind of slows you down, and you don't know really what to do. You don't know who to turn to. You don't know where to look. But I'm telling you what, it's out there. These people are out there. The people that can influence you, the people that can make the difference in your life, and better yet, the people that can make you become influential, the people that can make you a better person are out there. Now think about it. Think about everything you've been doing this week. Who convinced you to be a better person this week? I'm serious. I want you to think about it right now. Who are the people in your life this very past week that got in your head, that got in your mind, that got in your heart, that got in your soul, and made you a better person? Because there had to have been at least a couple of them. Heck, man, there was a bunch for me this week. I was on the road all week on doing motivational speaking. I was up in Connecticut. I was up in Charleston, South Carolina with this great company, Sequent, talking, and got to meet these wonderful people and talk to them. And man, their stories about their lives were influential. They made a difference to me. They made me think about my own life in a bunch of different ways. Well, who's been that way to you this week? I'm serious. Think about it, all right? Who are the people that improved your life this week? Now think. Was it a friend? Was it a family member? Was it somebody you love? Was it a world leader? Was it somebody in your community, your church pastor, or whoever it was? Was there someone out there that influenced you to become better this week? All right? They had this profound impact that shifted the way you started thinking about things. That just like knocked you around, and you were like, and you were like, oh my God, wow. I need to look at things a little bit differently. This is powerful, man. And you took that and you were influenced at that level, folks. And what'd you do with it? You flipped it over on its head and you started using the same ideas, the same methodologies, the same type of influential behavior and actions. You translated that into your world, into the things around you as you took on the negative insurgency of life. As you went into the combat of life, you used these skills, these ideas to play a massive role in the lives that were around you. You were doing this, right? You had this influence. I'm sure of it. We all have it. It happens all the time around us, constantly. When we look left, we look right, we scanning the battlefield. All of a sudden, we see greatness or we hear greatness, and it makes us better. It makes us become better human beings. You know what it makes us do, folks? You know what it makes this, when you see this behavior and you see this action and you see this unbelievable influence, it makes you want to lead. Because what you're witnessing is you're witnessing leadership, folks. You're witnessing greatness of human existence. You're witnessing the true warrior poets of life, and they're having an impact on you. And in turn, you want to become a warrior poet yourself, and you want to make sure that you impact your world. That's leadership. Now, think to yourselves, are you ready for that? And that's the big question. Are you ready to take hold of being a leader? Are you ready to embrace that challenge, to embrace that commitment, and to embrace that responsibility, the accountability to become better, to influence and make a difference in the world? Because if you're not prepared for that, if you're not even willing or you don't even want to sacrifice your life in some capacity to take on board that necessity of human existence to lead others in some way, shape, or form, then folks, you need to change the way you're thinking, period. Well, that's what this show is all about, folks. This show is the final show in our series on living the team life. It's mission number 4, leadership. That's right. This is the final series of this 4-part series, 5-part series we've been doing on living the team life and how it makes you a better person. And this is the last show of this series, right? And we're talking about mission 4, leadership. Oh, so I'm just so fired up about this one because it is a powerful, powerful thing in our lives to embrace this desire, this necessity to want to become leaders in some capacity. So in today's show, we're going to address that with you. We're going to address why it's important in your life to even think about leadership, to want to become a leader. And then we're going to talk about how Navy SEALs forge great leaders in our organization. I mean, you can't miss that, right? And then we're going to talk about the Froglogic concept. And I'm going to talk about the way in my motivational speaks called Team Life, how the topics that I use to enhance people's ability to lead with 4 Froglogic concepts. Now, if you're wondering again, if you're new to the show, you're just checking us out. And by the way, we just crested over 415,000 downloads this week for everybody. This is our 27th show. So you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking pretty soon we're going to beat that 500,000 mark. Within another couple shows, we're going to 1 million downloads. Folks, we're on a roll now, and it's because of all you, and I appreciate that. So the Froglogic concept is my motivational philosophy that I've forged over the last 20 years. And the whole idea is designed to help you really do 3 things because of this journey I've been on, this journey of discovery where I've tried to figure out what enables the human condition to succeed in any environment. Now, these 3 things are basically 1, embrace your fears, 2, forge your self-confidence, and 3, learn to live the team life. Now, if you do those things, you're going to get squared away. You're going to be able to enhance your life, or better yet, you're going to be able to persevere in the combat of life. I promise you that. I've seen it because not only has it been 20 years of my own personal experience, but I combine it with 70 plus years of operational training and elite lifestyle performance from the UDT SEAL team. So this is 70 years of sacrifice, 70 years of spilled blood on the battlefield, 70 years of giving it our all for our country, for our families, our communities, but most importantly, for the man that's next to us downrange. And that's a powerful, powerful thing. So, that's where the Froglogic concept is. So the 4 I'm going to share with everybody today are concept 1, is you got to start every day cold, wet, and sandy. Concept 2, situational awareness is paramount. Concept 3, everyone will lead. And concept 4, you got to take risks. So that's how the show's going to run. And after that, after I get into all that and get dialed in, we're gonna take a short break and gonna have a little cup of water and maybe stretch out, do some push-ups, and then we're gonna have callers call in. So if you're interested in calling in today and asking me questions live on the air about leadership or about living the team life or about any of the sacrifices you've had to make in your life in order to become a great leader, you call in and share them with us today at 760-913-4130. That's 760-913-4130. Or you can hit me up on Twitter. We're monitoring my buddy Billy here, my production assistant, the guy who's making this all happen for us on YouTube, is in here. He's monitoring our Twitter account. That's David Rutherford at teamfroglogic.com. And he's monitoring my Facebook page at David B. Rutherford. So hit us up there if you got questions too. We want to help you figure out how to become a better leader. All right. So before we get started in all this, what we need to do for sure is we need to define leadership, don't we? We need to get everybody on the same sheet of music, everybody thinking about it in a similar way, everybody stop coming from it from 1,000 different angles. So how do I do that? We start the definitions out with the Wikipedia definition. Now I've, again, all you wiki haters or whatever, go pack some sand. It's a reference point. It's a starting point for us. So calm down and just pay attention, all right? Here we go. So leadership. Leadership has been described as a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task, although there are also other in-depth definitions of leadership. Leadership is organizing a group of people to achieve a common goal. The leader may or may not have any formal authority. Studies of leadership have produced theories involving traits, situational interaction, function, behavior, power, vision and values, charisma, and intelligence, among others. Somebody whom people follow, somebody who guides or directs others. That's pretty good definition. Billy's got his eyebrows flexed up like, that's not so bad. But, there are other better definitions. And I'm going to share with you how in our community, how we define leadership. And it comes from a Medal of Honor story here about Lieutenant Mike Murphy, okay? And so this is, in the SEAL teams, we don't necessarily have word definitions of how we act in these key subjects in our lives. We go based on action. We go on people's performance prior to. We go on the people that have set a standard for us by which we earn our trident every single day. So as you're listening to this story, I want you to think about those people in your life that are having that profound influence, that are inspiring you to earn your existence as a warrior poet, that are inspiring you to earn your existence as a better person, as a member of your team. So let me tell you stories. In Afghanistan in 2005, when the task unit commander went up to this young lieutenant and said, "Hey, LT, we got this great op for you. You need to go do this reconnaissance mission on a warlord, a Taliban warlord in eastern Afghanistan. This guy's notoriously bad. He's been hammering the snot out of the Marines and the Army guys lately, and we need to go put eyes on this, confirm his location, and do a capture kill or drop some bombs on his head, right?" So, and what do you think the LT said? He said, "Roger that. Absolutely. That's what we do. We accept the missions that we're given, because that's what we do. That's what our job is, right?" So he willingly accepted this mission, and he's like fired up, and he get three of his good guys together, his top guys. And so they go out on this recon mission, and they get set up on this top of this mountainside, and they move into position, and they get eyes on. Well, it wasn't long before, in this operation that all of a sudden they got compromised in a capacity where a goat herder walked into their location. And then before you know it, another goat herder and a kid walked in along with 100 goats. Now you're thinking to yourself, wow, what are they doing on the top of a mountain with goat herders walking into their pods, right? Their position. Listen, this is not an uncommon thing. I did an op similar to this, and when I was in Afghanistan with SEAL Team 1 in 2002, where we were on an op, and one of our OP teams on the other side of the valley we were watching had a goat herder walk into our position. Now, fortunately for us, we only had a few hours left on our ops, so we zip-tied the guy up, sat on him, and when we were extracted, they cut him loose, right? So that was lucky for us. Unfortunately, with Mike Murphy and their situation, it happened in the beginning of the operation. So he made the decision to basically, they got to let these kids go, these young goat herders go, because in the hopes that they'll go to some other Taliban or other American-friendly village and they can Charlie Mike, continue mission, right? Well, it didn't happen that way. These little knuckleheads, they ran right back down into that warlord camp, that little town, that village, and they told them there were Americans up on the side of that hill. And before you know it, these four brave souls were surrounded by Taliban. And a hellacious gunfight broke out. And you know what these four did? You know what they did? They fought like warrior poets. They fought to the bitter end. That's right. Matt Axelson fought so hard. Man, when they finally recovered his body, man, he had shot every single round on his person while taking multiple hits to his body. Danny Dietz, the radio operator, had his hand almost blown off right in the beginning of the op, or in the beginning of the firefight, but he stayed in the fight, shooting his gun with one hand, reloading mags with one hand, and just trying to, meanwhile, still make comms where they couldn't because of where they were positioned. Marcus Luttrell, who everybody knows out there, the lone survivor who wrote the book. And if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend that you do this, because it's a phenomenal book. It'll change your perception of what you're capable of, how you're able to persevere. Well, even as they were getting blown down this huge face of this rock face, here Marcus was rendering aid while he'd been hit multiple times, suffered many injuries. And even Mike Murphy, Lieutenant Murphy, was getting hammered by gunfire, and at one point they had settled into this deflate, and he decided the grave nature of their situation called on something heroic. But it wasn't like that in his mind. He wasn't going, "I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to do something totally that'll blow people's mind." All he did was he summoned his natural leadership that was in him. And it wasn't based on, hey, I want to charge and have collar devices and get salutes from people all the time. It was because he loved his teammates. It's because he cared so much about them that he was willing to make a sacrifice that ultimately totally cost him his life. So he moved away from that defilade and he climbed up on top of this rock and he whipped out his satellite phone and he basically made a phone call back to Bagram Air Base to make sure that they knew that they were in this hellacious gunfight. And he called troops in contact. He gave them their grid location. And then out of nowhere, boom, boom! He got shot again in the stomach and in the back and he falls down. He drops the phone. But he had the integrity, the honor, the wherewithal to pick that phone up, make sure the transmission went through. They got the grid coordinate, and then he had the leadership capability in his heart to say, "Thank you, sir. Please hurry." Now that's remarkable right there. He basically jumped out on this rock, took direct gunfire in order so somebody knew where they were going, so potentially the lives of his teammates would be spared. Now, because of the unbelievable odds in this case, 3 out of the 4 died, right? Danny and Matt and Lieutenant Murphy, they all passed fighting like true warrior poets. But because of that call, it initiated an action that ultimately had Marcus Luttrell survive that situation. Now, the first helicopter that went on board and, the guys that responded, that helicopter got shot down. We lost another 16 people, another 8 SEALs. Now, that's a powerful loss, but it was willing. We were willing to do this because that's what we do for each other. We lead ourselves in order to not let the person next to us down. Now, that is a powerful, powerful definition of leadership. And I hope you have something like that in your heart. I hope you have something like that driving you every single day. Now, that leads us into the idea of what is your definition of a great leader? Seriously. I mean, when have you asked yourself that? When have you talked about it openly with people? Or are you just consumed with driving that negativity out in the world and telling people how much other people suck? Oh, those guys have their heads up their butts. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, you know what? My boss, he's horrible. He doesn't know how to lead. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And just spewing that negative vomit out on the world. Because you don't have a solution. Because you're not taking accountability of the world around you and stepping up to the plate to be your own leader. To change the situation. Leading is not just about leading other people or influencing other people. It's about changing a situation. Making it better. I mean, that's leadership. So I asked some of my teammates what they thought about leadership. And my pop, who has been a phenomenal leader for the great portion of his life, he talks about leadership in a bunch of different ways. And one of the things is, he thinks, I loved how he described it like this: leadership can be spontaneous. As for example, in an emergency of war, take 9/11, for example, a natural disaster, an unexpected death, or just organizing in an impromptu way. Now think about that. No, great moments and trying moments and moments of persecution and challenges really become difficult, but they somehow pull out the best of us, right, in many occasions. And those who can't take the pressure, they cower back and they fall back and they don't want to do anything. But think about it. I mean, think about how many great opportunities. But he goes also that leadership can be forged too. We can take ordinary men and make them great, or women and make them great, right? Think about all the amazing people in this world that have been, by luck or fortune or by hard work have moved into positions because of their training, because they've learned from people that were better than themselves. They've learned from people that made a huge impact in their lives on how to become better. I mean, think about that. That's an amazing opportunity for people to do, is to become better. And then one of the last thing he talks about is that there are good leaders and bad leaders. And because, sometimes people just lack vision. They're not very effective and they just haven't had the right training, right? But they don't pay attention. Those leaders that are in that position, they don't have their ears open. They're not looking. They're not paying attention to their surroundings. And because of that, they're not gauging what they need to do for their team. So that's a crazy thing, right? And the last thing he says here, in order to be a great leader or just a leader in general, you have to be committed. And you have to be committed to your training. And you have to be a great communicator, just like the things we've been talking about for the last few episodes on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. All right, so I had another one too. So Kat, our operations director, God bless her, who is awesome and keeps Team Froglogic going. All right, if you guys want to check everything out, go to teamfroglogic.com and see what we're all about. See the motivational speaking. We got a publishing company. We publish books. We got all kinds of cool products. We got a great new t-shirt about living the team life. Go to teamfroglogic.com and get the gear page and check out the new stuff we've got there. All right. But Kat comes out and she goes, to me, the concept of leadership is much more complex than being a leader versus being a follower. In any given situation, you can be a follower, i.e. not the head honcho, but can also lead your fellow followers by rallying the team with new ideas, hugs, high fives, and other jobs well done. In general, having the esprit de corps, the common spirit existing in the members of the group, in inspiring enthusiasm, devotion, and strong regard for the honor of the group. Now, folks, that's a powerful statement, right? We don't just lead at the head of the company. That's not our only spot where we're in charge. You're a leader when you're a follower. Because if you're the person that's in the group that has been tasked with some type of operational objectives, and you're the guy that is the one in the back going, oh, this sucks, man. I'm going to leave early. I'm going to try and get out of here now, man. I'm going to go home and play PlayStation. If that's you, what is that? What kind of leadership is that? Why aren't you making your own situation better? Why aren't you helping the team out? What about you inside is inhibiting you from just leading as a follower? Think about it. What's got you all balled up inside? What's making you negative? Because until you find that out, you're not going to be able to define leadership because you don't even have an understanding your own accountability of leadership. So how do we do this? All right. So a big thing in this life and what a lot of people are fascinated about is they're fascinated about Navy SEALs, right? On how Navy SEALs are forged into these great leaders of the special operations world. They're just great leaders in their communities and around. And we've had some great leaders around in our community for sure. I mean, really amazing human beings out there doing incredible things, right? So how does this happen? Now, it happens in my estimation because of the training itself, right? You go through Bud's training and you're literally pounded into submission. You're just bang, 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 and you're beaten down until you submit. And what you have to submit is your own understanding of your limitations. Because it's really, when you get down to it, why most people don't step up to lead in life is because they're afraid. They're afraid. Fear's got the hold of them. It's crushing them, and it's quelling them, and it's getting them. It's pushing them down in the base of whatever because you don't want to fail. Well, in Buds, you're going to fail. Period. You're going to fail every single day. That's the way the training is designed. You're going to fail going through first phase. You're going to fail in second phase. You're going to fail in third phase. But the idea is that you come back harder, and you do it through the guys around you, your swim buddy, your boat crews, and the influence that they have on you every single day. So 1 minute, you might be influencing the guy who's next to you to be like, come on, keep your back straight. You can do it. One more. You got one more in him. And then the next day, he's in your ear going, come on, you can push that telephone pole over your head. Get your arm straight, Rut. You can do it. And that free flow of inspiration. Think about how powerful that is. So in that small little moment, that gift of empathy, that gift of motivation, that gift of the esprit de corps that Kat was talking about, you're leading. You're making a difference. You're inspiring some other human being to be better. Now that's awesome. So where does this evolve to the next level? Well, after you go through Buds, you get to SQT and SEAL qualification training. Well, now we got to strip the robot out of your brain, and we got to train you to be this flexible special operations operator. And so we really get people, and we take the junior guy and we put him at the head of the class, and we have him do IADS, and we take the assistant officer in charge of the class, and he's in charge for a while, and we switch it up constantly to see and test people's ability and their desire and their understanding, to realize that on the battlefield, you have no idea when your opportunity is going to come. But better yet, every minute you're with that team, you are leading. Every single person is leading in some capacity. Now, I learned this the hardest in platoon life, right? When I was an FNG, a blank and new guy in my first platoon, and I was second in command of boats and motors. I was assistant medical rep. I was a intel rep and all this stuff. And if I didn't come to work today every day and do my absolute best in order to make sure that my phase, my portion, my little job of the department was at the highest level, then I let my team down. And when I let my team down, that meant we were less operational capable. If we were less operational capable, that means we had a greater probability of dying in training, or worse, if we were to go to combat, dying in combat. So think about that. Think about your role that you're playing in your life right now. Think about your role that you're playing in your family. What is that role? What kind of influence do you have around everybody? Maybe you're not the mom or the dad, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're the son or the whatever. But if you are the mom or the dad, or you are the patriarch or matriarch of your family, what are you doing to lead the family? What are you doing to help everybody out? Now, our family is going through a pretty emotional week this week, and I want to give a shout out to my uncle through marriage, Skip, who passed away on Monday. Now, let me tell you about this guy. This guy was an amazing human being. He led every single day, and you know how he did it? He led with a smile on his face, and he led with his active lifestyle, and he led as being a good father and a good brother, and he led that way every single day. Sure, he had down days. I bet it. But you know what? He didn't let it dissuade the requirement that he embraced the accountability, the choices he made in his life. And even to his dying day, he was still inspiring people to love. He was inspiring people to grab onto their faith, to lead them into their faith, and to believe that everything was going to be all right. Now, that's powerful, folks. Are you doing that in your life? Are you doing that in the combat of your life? Are you taking the responsibility to make sure that every action that you do you are aware of the impact it has on the people around you? Or are you just kind of gallivanting through life and not with a care in the world? Listen, man, we over the last 13 years, our organization has seen some of the greatest feats man could ever do. We've lost 85 teammates, 65 in the teams, and another bunch as contractors and doing other things in life. And you know what? We see the leadership they've played. We feel it in our hearts and our souls. And that inspiration, that sacrifice translates into the guys that are now the heads of the organizations, the head of the SEAL teams, or the heads of their platoons, or the guys, the instructors at Buds, and their responsibility to influence the other people, the younger generation coming through their experience. And it's not just regular experience; it's talking about combat, bullets flying at their head, their buddies dying. How do you think about that message, passing that on, and inspiring the people next to him to say, hey, guess what? This is the probability of what lays in front of you, but we need you. We need you to elevate your game in order to be a part of this team that has such a huge responsibility in this world, defeating radical fundamental ideology around the world on every front and every continent. We need you to do that. Please come and join the team. And that's powerful. Now, what are you doing in your life to do that for your world? How are you influencing people to accept that responsibility, to embrace that challenge in their life? What is your role? How are you doing it? Well, you know what I get all the time. I mean, I travel around the country constantly giving speeches. I'm on all my social media. I'm getting hit just in endless hits on these very questions. What do I do? What do I do to enhance? Well, first you got to check your own idea of leadership. First, you got to realize what you're doing, how you define leadership. And if you're struggling, let me help you out. Let me help you out with the 4 concepts that I talk about in my talks regularly about how you can break leadership down in a simple way, in simple ideas. And now this is, again, from the Froglogic concept. And this is 20 years of my personal discovery combined with 70 years of SEAL lifestyle and training and operations. And I'm telling you, folks, if you want to know more about Team Froglogic, go to the website, teamfroglogic.com. It's where we talk about embracing fear, forging self-confidence, living the team life. You can check. I've got a YouTube channel out. Just look me up on YouTube. We've got the radio show. In fact, if you even want some, check out the book, Navy SEAL Training, Self-Confidence, where I outline 8 simple missions on how to forge your self-confidence in order to take on the combat of life. And you can find it on iBooks. You can find it on Kobo, all the ebooks, as well as you can buy it off our store. So check that out. All right. So the 4 concepts to help you become a great leader is concept 1, you need to start every single day cold, wet, and sandy. Now, what do I mean by that? In our world, literally, it's jackhammering, right? We start our days out, we come into muster, some instructor looks at us, we're sideways, our hats aren't straight, our boots aren't totally shined, and they go hit the surf. And we go running down there, and we roll around in that freezing water, we jump in the sand, we sugar cook it, we come back up, and we stand in line, and we hope that we're going to be good to go. And you know what he says? He says, go hit the surf again. And that's how we go through our day, cold, wet, and sandy. Now, the amazing thing about this concept, right, and for you, we're talking metaphorically, unless you want to take the Froglogic Challenge, which I've had some great young men in some of the places I've spoken this summer have taken the Froglogic Challenge. I say to them, tomorrow I want you to go out, spray down your backyard, roll around in a pit of mud, and then put on your best suit, get in your car, go to work all day long, cold, wet, and sandy, and see what happens. And the conversations I've had from these guys are just amazing. Because you realize that you can do so much more no matter if you're uncomfortable or not. It really is all just what's in your head. So, folks, if you start every day cold, wet, and sandy, the people around you will notice that it doesn't bother you, right? That which does not kill me only makes me stronger. Now, so if you embrace how difficult and chaotic life is, you're going to be all right because it's just part of the game, right? And when you do that, it will settle down. And as it settles down in your emotional capability and your spiritual capability, your people around you, they'll see you. They'll see that calm over you. And it will influence them to do the same thing. Now, that's a powerful, powerful thing. And basically what that is, it means you're leading from the front. It means you're taking on everything that life is throwing at you. Just throwing spitballs and fastballs at you constantly. You're taking them in the chest like Happy Gilmore, right? And you're, I got 364 more days till the next year, and you're just taking it because that's what it's about. It's about being cold, wet, and sandy as a leader. And people will respond to that. Now, concept 2 is situational awareness. Now we all know the people in the world who just have their friggin' heads in the clouds, who don't acknowledge anything that's going around, who are so detached from the operational knuckle draggers in work that they just are missing the things around them, or even in their personal lives. They just don't care about anything else. Well, those are the people that will never understand great leadership because it's the perpetual assessment of the totality of your environment that makes you a great leader. All right, it's paying attention to those little details everywhere and realizing what influence is having, knowing your team, whether or not somebody's having a really bad day or somebody's having a good day or whatever, and recognizing those ebbs and flows of the tide of a human existence. And knowing how to encourage that or harness the power from those changes in personality or those changes in spirituality or those changes in physicality, and being able to harness those as a great leader. So your situational awareness needs to be elevated. You got to pull your head up out of your own funk, out of your own misery, out of your own confusion, and start getting that battlefield perspective that will make you a leader. That will make you understand that, guess what? I'm not going to allow things to just punish me. I'm not going to allow this to penetrate in here. I've got mission focus. I'm going to drive on. I can hammer. I can block it out over here and keep going. Because your situational awareness is dialed in. And the more you work on it, the greater your intuitive spirit comes, and the more you can even just begin to lead without even having to say anything. You can just your actions, you lead from the front, you put your boots on the ground, and just by the very nature of who you are, what you are, and how your perception of the world around you will influence others. Because it makes a difference, folks. All right. Concept 3, everyone will lead. Now, here's the deal on this. Now, this is all about taking pride and ownership, right? And this is if you're not in a leadership role. If you are one of the followers or you know what, you're at the bottom of the food chain, you're the FNG in your organization or your team, you got to believe that your opportunity to lead starts now. Your opportunity to show that you're accountable, to show that you're squared away starts with you, and it starts in your own home. If you're not accountable in your own home, if you're not squared away in how you relate to the people that care about you most and that you love the most, then how do you think that will ever translate into you moving up the food chain of your professional life? It's just not going to happen, folks. It just is what it is. So you need to be able to embrace that. You need to start from scratch and really check yourself internally and start with yourself at home. Begin looking at your the accountability, how you hold that true in your heart, and then moving forward with that. And as you start to inspire others with, hey, man, I'll volunteer right here. Hey, I'll do that horrible, nasty job. Yep, that's me. I'll do it. Or hey, man, do you need help? Let me help you out. Let me stay later with you and help you out. Because that's a massive thing, folks. That's the realization that your opportunity to lead is every single day. Now, as after time, you're going to realize that the humility and the strength with which you do this will really become the inspiration. Because if you're not in that direct leadership role and the person that's above you, your manager, your father, your brother, whomever sees you acting like this, they will give you more responsibility. They will enhance your capability. They will want to lead you to become a better leader. I mean, it's crazy how simple it is, folks, but that's the deal. That's how it works, period. So that's everyone will lead. All right, concept 4, last one. All right, here we go. Take risk. You have to take risk in your life. Now risks are crazy because what is the number one thing that inhibits us from taking risk? Fear. And everybody out there thought it. It just popped into your mind. You said, well, why am I not going to take risks? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of the unknown. I'm afraid someone will say no. I'm afraid that I'm going to hit a wall. I'm afraid I'm going to mess up. All these fears come up into you. So we don't take risk, right? Because fear is with us since we're little itty bitty babies, right? We're little babies. We're little babies. And our fear is there and it's built and it's protected and it's coveted. And then we become toddlers and grade schoolers and middle schoolers, and that fear just builds and it's a part of our life because it protects us. Well, guess what, folks? You have a piece of kit in your gear bag of life that is the number one piece of gear you've ever been issued. What do you think it is? Now, I go around these audiences of very successful people, whether financial or medical fields or whomever they are, and I ask them, I go, what is the greatest piece of kit you have to embrace fear in your life, to really take fear on board and use it so it helps you, it enhances you? And people will say courage, and people will shout out confidence, people will shout out experience and faith and all these things, and I'm like, no. No. Let me tell you what it is. The greatest piece of gear that God issued you was your ability to love. Now, all of you out there who just crinked your eyebrows and said, what? What? Did a Navy SEAL just talk about love on the radio right now? That's craziness. What is this guy talking about? Let me back it up for you. Let me tell you something. Let me explain it to you. Lieutenant Mike Murphy climbed out on that rock, not because he was blood brothers with Danny and Matt and Marcus. And Danny and Matt fought to the death, not because they grew up with Marcus and Lieutenant Murphy, not because they'd known him their whole lives. In fact, they just met each other going through training. But let me tell you why they did it. Let me tell you why he did it. Because he loved his men. Because he loved them so undeniably, with so much commitment, that he was willing to die for them. Now ask yourselves, are you willing to do that for someone else? Is the strength of your love at that level? Do you forge that love? Do you build on it? Do you harden it every day? Do you utilize it at the highest possible level you can? And do you accept the fact that love is the greatest way to lead on this world? Love is the greatest influence that you can have on other people. Love is the gift that you get every single day when you wake up, and you look in yourself in the mirror, you bend down on the knee, and you start praying to God, and you say, thank you, Lord, for everything you give me. Thank you for the fact that I'm above dirt today. Thank you for this incredible family I have. Thank you for the opportunity to get one more day, to make one more difference, to have one more influence on another human being because I love them. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that capability, and are you doing that? Are you doing that in your life? Are you leading with love? Now, folks, those are the four concepts, man. And that's some good stuff right there. It's heavy, I know it. That last one, but that's the deal. None of this stuff is easy in life. It's not easy to go through. It's not easy to understand. It's not easy to bring on. So you have to be able to understand what your definition of leadership is if you want to make an impact, if you want to be better. So start by leading with love. All right, folks. All right. We were going to take a short break, but I'm not, because I got a stack of callers here right now. So we're going to start at the top. Again, if you want to call and ask me or hit me up on the internet, the number is 760-913-4130, or hit me up on my Twitter account, and we'll get going here. All right, first caller. Here we go. Hey, welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. You're on the air.
I'm on the air.
You're on, brother.
Hey, Brother Rhett, this is Clay. I spoke to you the other day on LinkedIn, Class 202.
Clay, what's up, dude? How you doing, man?
I just want to tell you, man, I really it's my first time tuning into to your show, and I really gotta give it up to you, man. You're doing a great thing.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's funny, Clay, now that I got you on, I think this is a great opportunity to really ask you, as you were going through the training, and you were like, it's funny, a Hell Week class just secured yesterday. And so it brought back all these memories in my mind, and I was just wondering, what were some critical things in your life during training that really shaped up and kind of, redefined your ideas about leadership?
Well, I think I started Buds with the vision that I knew other people had done it before me. And, I just kind of, once I got in and was part of a class, I ended up getting rolled out of my first class for an injury. But I really just kind of, accepted that group mentality and that every person could be a leader. That was really emphasized in all of our training. And I think that was the biggest thing, was really just realizing that other people had gone before me and they'd done it. And that was something I could also pull out of inside myself.
That's awesome. The sacrifice of others being the influence, right? I mean, I think that is really, for me, one of the greatest things about the teams out there that is, you give is the gift that every single day, we know there are guys on the front lines right now, whether they're in the teams or in SF or wherever, or, in any operation in the agency or whomever, they're out there doing the job for us right now. So, I mean, that always instills a desire in me to want to enhance what the gift they're given and be a better American, or be a better person in the community, a better family member, man. Do you feel the same way?
I do, and I really, I feel what you're saying about, I mean, it's not necessarily you have to go through SEAL training. Everybody goes through hardships, and everybody, a lot of people, they look at those hardships as negatives, but they're not. They're ways we can learn and we can become better. And, what you touched on, fear, I mean, that really hit home with me. I'm not going to get in what I'm doing now, but I'm doing a lot of stuff in Mexico, a lot of training with cats down there. And, other people aren't doing it because of the fear. And sometimes you got to step out there and do it. And I'm doing it because of my love of the people down there. I have a wife who's Mexican, and, it's out of love. It's not out of money.
That's awesome, Clay. Well, man, brother, you are making a difference, and I really appreciate you reaching out on LinkedIn, man. It means so much to the world. I told you to have a fellow teammate kind of say, hey, man, drive on airborne, and it just means the world. So, Clay, thanks for calling in, brother, and stay in touch, brother. I can't wait to see how you think the show evolves, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, brother. Love what you're doing.
Out. All right, let's take our next caller. Here we go. Hello, you're welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. You're on the air. Hello? Hello? All right, we got a little technical difficulty on that one. Let's move on to the next one. Hello, welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. You're on the air. Hello? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, you there? I got you. All right, what's your question?
You really hit home with me too, because I live here in Indiana. My name's Jerry. I'm friends with you on Facebook.
Oh, hey, Jerry, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, buddy. I'm a leader down here in Ethan Allen. I'm a crew leader, and I deal with all these kind of tough issues every day. And the only way you can do it is with a good attitude. Both people in the home work, and we're coming up on 25 years of marriage. It's not easy. You know, in the media, they'll tell you that, this thing of having a good life and having money, they'll make you think that you could get it in 30 minutes. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't work that way. You're going to have ups and downs, kids. When you're trying to raise kids and you're trying to be a father, not a dad, but a father, you're going to have a lot of challenges. And the only way to do that is with God, and get up and face those things head on every day. That's all. I mean, that's what I got to say. Everything you say is true. Some people it's a hard thing to swallow, but if you're in that thing and you're doing it and you're hitting the ground running, you're failing, getting up for success, you're going to say, you know what? My buddy David is right. He's right on. You got to be accountable. You got to say, I'm sorry. You got to meet that thing and say, here am I. I'm Jerry. I know what I got in my tool bag, and I'm going to make the best of what my tool bag is.
Well, Jerry, I got to tell you, buddy, I mean, you're hitting it right on the head, man. And I think the greatest thing about what Jerry's saying is that it's not just one spot. It's not just one aspect of your life. This translates into every different aspect of your life, at home, at work, with your friends, all across the board, and just be willing to push hard in each one of those. Am I hearing you right, Jerry?
Yes, you are. And for me, see, my job's 100% physical, okay? So that means every day, they understand me and trust me because they see what I'm doing at the front end every day with them.
Awesome.
So it's an earning thing. It's not one that I'm sitting in an office somewhere where it's nice and cushiony. No, I'm going through the same pain they are. I'm going through the same stuff they are on that floor when I'm unloading trucks and we're putting away furniture. It's hot, it's cold. They see me doing it. And if they see me doing it and I say, hey, we got to come together and get this work done, they listen because I'm doing it with them.
Awesome. Jerry, I tell you what, buddy, that is one of the greatest things that anybody can say is, and I'm a huge believer in leading from the front, man. So, dude, thank you so much for calling in, and I'm fired up. I love the connection we have on Facebook. Keep them coming, brother, and keep listening. God bless you, bro. Later. All right, we're going to move over to taking a question off Twitter and Facebook. So here's one right now. It goes, how do you deal with a bad leadership on the job? Well, you got a few options here. One is you try and influence that leader, right? You try and teach that guy what's not happening, how they're not, or that woman, how they're not leading you effectively. Because we all have unique leadership needs, but they're also, you can't, you got to be realized as a follower that, it's all about the collective movement forward in the operational objectives. So you take the time to figure out how to help that leader. And if they're just not responsive, if they're just going to shut you down and they're just dealing with so much in their lives that they're just going to be like, Anhalt, I don't need your words, I don't need anything, then you know what I do is I think about moving on. I think about, because life is too short to deal with that on a day in and day out basis. So, it's funny. I tell this when I go out and CEOs are in the crowd, man, they shudder when I talk about this. But guess what, man, go find your purpose, your passion, or go find the person that will be a great leader. All right. That's what you need to do. So that's a great question. All right. Here's the second one off. This one was off Facebook here. How do you lead a group when you get promoted from the team to the leader of the group And how do you get them to go forward? And that's a challenge, right? Because all of a sudden the dynamics have all shifted. One minute you're sitting with the guy and you're hammering the leadership of the company and you're talking trash and all that stuff, right? Because that's people are naturally negative nowadays in the way it is. So next thing you know, you're at the top and you know all those people who you once had a relationship with are talking trash. Well, here's what you do. You take that opportunity and you make it better now that you know that they need to decompress. Now that you know, then enhance these meetings. Have more meetings where, not to the meetings where you cripple the operation, but enough where people can get what's on their chest off their chest. Don't just give them the smoke and mirrors and say, I've got an open door policy. And if you ever come in my office in that open door policy, I'm going to hammer the snot at you. You know, I mean, that contradiction, right? The fakeness of yeah, come in any time. Well, you know, but make sure you schedule with my assistant first. You know, all that nonsense. If you move into that leadership position, you make it better. All right, not necessarily how the operation, because you don't want to invent the wheel every single time, but you make the team better. You bring it in because obviously someone has tagged you in your skill sets, so you make it better. All right, that's the deal. That's the deal. All right, here's another one from Twitter. Unending obstacles/failures can demoralize even some of the best teams. As a leader, how do you motivate a demoralized team? It's easy. You got to instill confidence in them, right? So you need to come up with some kind of training regimen or some kind of task that teaches them how to succeed again. First, you got to pluck out all the positive lessons learned from that failure. What you did wrong, you write it down, you get a playbook, and you really know what you did wrong. And so then when you start training again, you train with those in mind, those failures right up in front, where you don't make those same mistakes again. And you teach people how to succeed through these little failures, okay? The biggest thing is when people failure, they feel dejected, right? They feel like they're nothing, they're worthless, they don't know what's going on, or they start pointing the fingers. It was his fault, her fault, his fault, or it's the leader's fault. He didn't listen to any of us. Everybody wants to point blame instead of rogering up. In the SEAL teams, guess what? If we fail collectively. We fail as a unit, a platoon, we fail as a boat crew, as a swim pair, we fail as an individual person. We take the responsibility on ourselves. Now, that way, when you come back for that next training cycle, the next operation, you're ready to learn. You're ready to you have the humility and the honesty in your heart to accept what you need to work on. And trust me, we do that constantly, all the way up into platoon training and even beyond, man. You train until you get it right. So, folks, that's the way when a team fails. You got to teach that the failure's good. You go through your lessons learned in a good debrief. You take notes, and then you teach. Then you train to succeed. You do a rehearsal on the next thing. You do a mock program. You create something new, and you teach the team how to succeed. All right, that was a good one right there, man. All right, here you go. What is the best way to deal with bickering and friction amongst your team? Thanks. First and foremost, if there's bickering between two people, what you do as a leader is you sit them down in front of each other and you have them get it off their chest. Because many times that's just what it is. People don't feel like they can get it off their chest without any repercussions. Well, as a leader, you got to create that environment. You got to do that because otherwise people are they're going to backslide, backstab, they're going to sabotage, they're going to do all this nonsense. And a lot of times people just want to be able to get it off their chest. Now, what happens many times in those situations is people are like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd be in this situation. I don't want to say anything negative. But you've got to reassure them that by doing that, it's going to enhance the team. Now, most people, if they're stand up and they're accountable, they'll be in that situation. They'll look over and they'll go, Billy, this is what you got. This drives me nuts. And then he'll look at him and be like, Dave, this is what drives me nuts. And I'll be like, okay, well, let's work on it. Roger? All right, cool. I like that. That's really as basic as it can be. Now, does it take time? Does it distract you? Yeah, absolutely. So you might have to do it after work, before work, whenever, or on weekends you iron it out. Folks, you got to be creative as a leader to come up with solutions, period. That's the way it works. All right, we're going to take one more short caller here. Okay, here we go. Hey, welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. You're on the air. You there? I don't know. For some reason, this cat just keeps not wanting to come on. Hey, buddy, you on the air? No? All right. Anyway, sorry about that. We'll take this one right here. Hey, welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. You're on the air.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yep, send it.
It might be out of the topic, but I was just wondering how you felt getting your trident. when you got your own trident, like how did you feel? Like, was it a bit of joy or seriousness, or what was the emotions that you felt when you got it?
That's a good question, man. I'll tell you exactly how I felt. When I finally got that trident, it got put on my chest, and trust me, man, it was not, it didn't happen overnight at all by any means, man. I graduated BUD/S, then I had to go to jump school, then I went to 18 Delta, then I checked back on, then I had to go through SQT, and then I had to wait for a platoon, then a platoon up, and then 3 months into my first platoon, finally, because I had been put on probation at SEAL Team 1, finally my senior chief goes into our master chief and is like, hey, I think Rut deserves his trident now, and they gave me my trident. So it took a long time for me to get that bird. And when it finally got put on my chest, you can feel the weight of it. I mean, you can literally feel it sink through your soul, man, on what the responsibility is for wearing it. But at the same time, it was this elation, it was joy, but it, the huge weight of now what it meant to lead with that bird, to be a good new guy, to be a good leader. And it took me a long time to understand the power of that role, the power of earning your trident, and it takes a long time. Now, for everybody out there who receives some kind of accolation, or you move up and you get a position of leadership, what I recommend to you is don't waste time. Don't take for granted the opportunity you have in front of you. Really be smart and earn that trident every day, because it's a critical aspect of your life in order to enhance where you're coming from, enhance where you're going, and is to really think, man, I've got this thing. I did all this work, all this effort, all this years and years of training and commitment and all this stuff, all these failures to get to this point where all of a sudden I get this gift of leadership. What am I going to do with it now? Am I going to just blow it off? Am I going to just ignore the real responsibility with it? Or am I going to take on board the accountability of that? Am I going to take on board the responsibility? Am I going to embrace what now I've worked so hard to achieve? Now I'm not just going to sit back in my chair, kick my feet up and go, I can relax now because I've made it. That's hogwash. Now it's time for you to drive on even more, to accept that next heightened sense of responsibility, and to wear that trident with pride, and make sure in your life you're leading with love. You're leading with conviction. You're leading with the understanding that the impact you're having on the team around you is profound. So that's a great question, brother. Thanks for calling in and asking that. We've had some good callers, some great callers. Thanks for calling in, guys, Clay and Jerry, and I appreciate that one caller who I just couldn't get to. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties. All the Twitter questions, please, people, continue to call in and continue asking me questions. If you want to hit me up throughout the week on what the next week's show is going to be about, we collect those things, we collect those questions, and we'll get it going. So, folks, when you think about leadership in your life, think about how you define it. Think about the influential people who have made a huge difference, right? Whether it's a rural great leader, whether it's somebody in your family, or it's a friend, whoever is inspiring you, take on board that inspiration. Take it to your heart, take it to your soul, and make sure it does, and also, tap into your spiritual, leadership. Tap into God. Allow that to inspire you, right? Allow that to make you a better person, because being a leader is one of the greatest blessings you have on this planet. It allows you to influence others. It allows you to make a difference in the world around you. So, right now I want to thank to some of my great, people in my life who've been amazing leaders to me. I want to thank Gary Niels from high school. Man, you're an amazing leader in my life. I want to thank, my father for being an amazing leader. I want to thank Bruce and Wally. I want to thank, Landry, and I want to thank, Joe and Rick, and I want to thank, I want to thank my wife for being this amazing leader in my life. My mom. I want to thank all these people that had this profound influence in all these little ways, shape, or form. Even Billy over here has been a leader in my life, showing me the ability to persevere in the hardest situations. That's leading, folks. But part of it is as you develop your leadership traits and you develop your leadership, is allowing that to sink in. Allowing that feeling to cover you from head to toe, and realizing, man, this is powerful stuff, how humans interact with one another, how we engage life, how we charge into the combat of life, how we take on as warrior poets, and we will not be defeated because we want to be leaders of our own lives. So, folks, thanks for paying into Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. This is the last in the series. Go back to my channel, Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio, on blogtalkradio.com. You can also download us on iTunes, where I've also got a podcast, Navy SEAL Podcast. Check us out on my website, teamfroglogic.com. And really just, it really is just a gift to really come out and try and lead people, to motivate them, to help you enhance your life in any way, shape, or form, to accept this mission, and to really drive on in life. So folks, you've been listening to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, David Rutherford, Navy SEAL motivational speaker, behavioral training specialist, author, and life coach. It's my mission to help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. One last thing I don't want you to forget, all right? I'm your new swim buddy, so let's get motivated. Ow!